the Dave's Gone By radio program of the stream. Who's with us?
I'm Brian Gari.
Brian Gari. Yes, indeed. Brian Gari. Now, forgive me if I don't remember this, because it's been a while, but you're the grandson of?
Eddie Cantor.
The great Eddie Cantor, of course. My friends, Brian Gari, who calls us every week.
Joe Franklin, my friends. It is here that I got my start in New York City. I am the greatest television host of all time. I've interviewed 2 billion guests in my lifetime. 2 billion.
We shall share some matzah together, recalling the greatness of you. So Brian, we thank you so much for calling in to every week.
To call you guys.
Yeah, how have you been? How was your year?
Well, it was a little rough. My mom passed away on January 28th, so it's almost a year now. And she made it to 90 years old.
Well, congratulations on that.
Yeah, it was a rough decade for her, I'll tell you. She had been mugged about 10 years earlier and never quite recovered from that. But, I saw her right up to the end. And, she was a great lady. What can I tell you?
Well, let me ask you, what is a great memory that you have with your mom, either when you were a kid or growing up or even as an older adult?
Well, my mother came to every single show that I ever did. She was the most encouraging person. She taught me great appreciation of music, and it is her encouraging words that made me continue being a songwriter at the age of 12 years old.
Wow.
Was she a Yiddish mama?
Joyce is asking, was she a Yiddish mama?
No, it was no big Jewish thing or anything like that. She was just a great lady and really cared a lot about the arts and really encouraged, even from my very first song, which I don't think was very good, but she saw promise, I guess, in it. And of course, when your mom encourages you or praises you for something, you want to do it again, get the praise again. And 900 songs later, that's what I've done.
Didn't he write several books?
Well, Brian has CDs out. He also was the author of a Broadway musical called Late Night Comic.
Yes.
And did you release any CDs this year?
Or a book. I thought he did a book.
Did you do a book too?
I wrote 3 books.
Yes, I thought so.
Yeah, and my mother wrote 4. So,
oh my God.
Yes, I wrote 3 books. The first one was about how my show came to Broadway. It's called We Bombed in New London, and it's the story of Late Night Comic and how it came to Broadway and became an album and all that kind of stuff. And then my second book was called A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to My Stress Test, because I literally took a stress test, and the next thing I knew I was having open heart surgery.
What?
So that was the second book. The third book is called Close Encounters of the Celebrity Kind, and it features 37 stories about celebrities that I met.
Good memory, hon. I remember you were talking about that last year.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you something. Memory starts to fail you after a while, and the great thing is that my wife had encouraged that third book in particular because I was telling her some stories. She says, that's a good story. You got to, write that down. And next thing you know, I had 37 stories. So,
oh my God.
I was very lucky in the sense that I was able to come up with all those stories about, celebrities that I had met or known in my lifetime.
Yeah, absolutely. And now, is there a sequel to that, or is there another book in
there?
No,
I think I got out as much as I possibly could about the people that I had met and the people I had good times with, people that I didn't know all that well but had met, like John Lennon. I ran into him in front of the place where I was performing, and we had a little chat, and it was fun, and that kind of a thing. That was sort of like borderline. That's why I call it Close Encounters. Sure. But then there were some times where I got to know the people very well, like Neil Sedaka, George Carlin, some great people.
Well, what's a great George Carlin memory? Because he's my favorite comic of all time.
I'll tell you a funny story.
Yeah.
I rarely gave out my cell phone number, and I'm sitting at the airport waiting to board a plane to Los Angeles, actually, and my cell phone rings. And I thought, oh no, what is this? Because usually it's only was my mother
something
or
serious,
it's almost nobody that had my number, And I pick it up, and he says, Brian, George on to any tricks and everything? And I said, well, I'd love to help you, but I'm sitting at the airport right now, and I really don't. Oh, he says, don't worry about it. I'll talk to you when you get back.
Oh.
And that was it. That was one of the funnier times with George. But, he was great all along. Anytime I dealt with George, I mean, one thing is, well, I'll tell you the story. I mean, I put it into the book, and it's kind of a fun story.
Yeah.
I made an LP of my Broadway show. That's in the days of LPs, exactly at the end of the days of LPs, 1988, 87, something like that.
Right.
And I put out an album of the songs from Late Night Comic, and the opening song is called Stand Up. And, it's all about a guy that's trying to be a stand-up comedian, and he's really a piano bar player, but he's trying to be a stand-up comedian. So anyway, I recorded the song and put it on the album, and these albums were pressed up, and I was delivering them to radio stations here in New York, and I'm on my bicycle, I believe, and I saw George Carlin on the street. Now, this is the first time that I met George Carlin. And I said, George, I'm just such a fan of yours. You have no idea. I have literally everything you've ever done. There are a few things that I was looking for that I'm missing, but, I said, I would really, he was on his way to do Letterman when it was at NBC.
Yeah.
And so I said, thanks so much for all this great stuff that you've done. I'm just such a major fan of yours. He says, well, thank you, Brian. Thanks a lot. So I drive away, and I say to myself, wait a second. Why don't I give him an LP of Late Night Comic? It's appropriate for him.
Yeah.
So I give him I drive all the way backwards,
But weren't you on a bicycle?
Yeah, I was on a bicycle on 6th Avenue,
Right.
and I caught up with him again. He must have thought I was going to kill him or something.
Yeah.
And I come back, and I said, George, I just thought you might want to have this. This was my Broadway show. He says, is your contact information on the back of the album? I said, yeah. He says, I'll be in touch. I said, okay. Now, most of the time, I would say 90% of the people or celebrities that I've met might say something like that, and they will never be in touch with you. Never. Next thing I know, George Carlin sends me a package in the mail of the stuff that I was missing from my collection, and a note from him saying, I am thrilled. That's the first mention I ever had in the lyric of a song. And I had forgotten that I had written a lyric where I said, I'm through playing Harold Arlen. I'll be the next George Carlin. And he was thrilled. And I realized, oh, yeah, I put his name in the song.
So it was, as they say, it was shared that you ran into him on the bike, that you had the album.
They didn't think you were stalking.
Right, well, yeah. It was shared that you didn't carry a gun and think, uh-oh.
Yeah.
Right. You mean when I came back?
Yeah. No, that's so cute. That's such a good... And I speaking of memory, I think you told that story on our show like 2 or 3 or 4 years ago. So it's so cool to hear that again about...
Well, that's because I have no more stories to tell. No, it's actually, it's one of the key stories in the book. So, as I say, it's called Close Encounters of the Celebrity Kind, and it's published by Bear Manor Media. And that's a great guy named Ben Omart who puts out books with his company, Bear Manor Media, all like celebrity kind of books, film and entertainment books.
Well, let me ask you also, last time we talked, or last year, I think you had a new CD out. What's been happening with you musically over
I think the one that I had out last year was probably the Brian Don Ciccone sings Brian Gari, and it was the guy Don Ciccone from the Critters and the Four Seasons.
Right. Okay.
And he had passed away in 2016, and by 2017 I had this album out of the songs of I think that was it.
I think that's the one.
I'm not quite sure. It may have been that. But also, over this past year, I've been working on a new album. Probably, it could be my best yet. I mean, I'm very proud of it. I'm working with a guy named Peter Milrose, and actually Peter's father wrote a lot of big hits in the 60s. His father is Vic Milrose, and he wrote I'll Try Anything for Dusty Springfield, and so many wonderful hit songs, and for songs for Elvis, everything.
Elvis,
anyway,
no.
Peter is a genius at recording and a great musician. And what we've done together is create an album of songs that I wrote over the last 8 years, I would say. And it's called Jeannie's Album because all the songs on the album are about my wife. And I'm
a long time?
Go ahead.
No, June is a long time?
July, August, September, October, November, December. Yeah.
Well, I guess for a recording process.
Half a year right now.
Yeah.
I'm almost finished with it. There's 16 songs on the album.
Okay.
And I'm almost finished with it. I have about 2 more to go, and I've got to get it out and finished very soon, like within the next 10 days, because there's a need to have time to press them up and print the booklet. There's going to be a very extensive booklet with all the lyrics to the songs.
Wait,
Much like
Gary, hold on one moment. Hold on, I'm going to get you. I want to make sure I don't lose this other call. Hold on. I guess we lost our hold button, or maybe. Oh no, wait, that's both of you. Call back.
Oh, jeez.
Ah, yes. Well, I'm not used to doing this show here. I've been putting people off instead of on hold.
Oh, that's not good.
I guess, or something like that.
Don't turn the people off.
Well, call back. Anyway, it is 10:27 in the evening. Here we go. It's going to be one of them. Thanks for calling back. This is the Dave's Gone By radio show. Who is this? Is this Gary or Mary?
well, my name is Brian, actually.
Oh, Brian.
But your Hebrew name is Gary.
Oh, is it? Oh, okay. I don't know.
It's your nickname.
It's Brian Gary. Gary's your last name. That's fair.
No, his name should be Brian Gari.
Brian Gari. So I'm sorry to cut you off there, but I didn't want to lose our other call, except we lost both calls. So that's the story of my life, yeah. But thank you for calling back. So when is your album going to be not only finished, but available
Is it iTunes?
to people?
Ask him iTunes or Amazon Music.
Yeah, Amazon, iTunes, or website. How do people get it?
Well, definitely my website, there'll be a connection. It's Brian, B-R-I-A-N, and the last name is Gari.com. And it should be available. My birthday is February 18th, and I'm doing a show here in New York at Don't Tell Mama that night.
Oh.
I'll be doing songs from the album that night. So that's why the album has to be ready by February 18th.
Absolutely, yeah.
Otherwise, you'll have to hum a lot on stage.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I really hope. I just don't want the album to be lost, in time for my show.
Oh,
Of course.
yeesh.
Well, I wish you absolutely best of luck on that. Certainly more creativity, more songs to share with everyone.
My material is available at Amazon. It's that's the easiest place for a lot of people to get it.
Amazon.com.
Amazon
yeah.
Music.
I'm very excited about the album. I also have some guest stars on the album, including Dean Balin playing guitar on several of the tracks. Dean Balin is the guy that did the wonderful guitar work on the Pina Colada song, Escape, by Rupert Holmes.
Oh, wow. Wow, okay.
Whoa.
Cool.
Yeah,
Okay.
You know the part? You know the part on the Pina Colada song?
Have you like Pina Colada? Getting something in the rain? Did you see that musical? I missed the musical with Rupert Holmes.
Oh, you mean the Mystery of Edwin Drood?
No, he had a musical last season, all about this guy who was escaped to Margaritaville. Oh, is that the wrong guy?
Yeah.
No, that's Jimmy Buffett.
Jimmy Buffett.
Yeah,
Oops.
you're the wrong pineapple.
It's late. I never do the show this late in the evening. What can I tell you?
Okay.
But anyway, it's been...
Dean Balin said that to me. He says, people are going to think that Rupert wrote that show, or they're going to get it mixed up. And I said, no, I don't think so. And you're the first person that's spoken to me that said that exact thing.
Well, I apologize. I don't apologize to you. I apologize, of course, to him. But
Yeah.
To Rupert.
But I certainly am thrilled that you called in, and it's so great to talk to you. And
Same here.
I wish you a most happy and healthy 2019 and a musical one with all good things, man. All good things.
Well, thank you so much, and it's nice to be wide awake for your show tonight.
Yeah, no, I was worried you'd fall asleep and conk out on us, but it's great. And happy New York New Year to you.
Well, thank you. Same to you guys.
Bye-bye now. Thanks
All
again.
right, bye-bye.
Bye, Brian.
Bye.